So I'm feeling the tiniest bit nervous about this video. Maybe not nervous, maybe apprehensive, I'm not sure. Basically, it's gonna be like an expose. In this video, I'm gonna be sharing a lot of figures, a lot of stats, really exposing my content creator journey from the past 12 months. And the reason why is because I started this platform and this Instagram channel, which goes alongside the platform, under 12 months ago now. And within those 12 months, I've managed to build it into a business which recently turned over $15,000 in 1 month. It's actually wild to say that out loud. Yes, I said dollars because when you say £13,000, it just doesn't sound as impressive. But it turned over around that amount of money last month. And I now do this full time. I've quit my job. This is my whole business. And everything that I've built over the past year all stems from content creation and me becoming a content creator. So I know there's a lot of people out there who want to do the same thing. And I feel like when I was learning how to do this, watching content creators who were so transparent about their journey, about their finances, about the stats and the analytics behind their channels, those are the people who really helped me the most. So this video is almost my way of paying it forward. If I'm in a position now that I can be that person and share that transparency and hopefully help someone else on their journey, then that is who I'm going to be. So if you are someone who doesn't like to hear about that kind of stuff, and people talking about money and stuff like that, this video probably won't be to your liking, and that's totally okay. But if you're anything like me and you're super nosy and you want to know all this stuff about other people, then I think you're going to really like this video. So let's just get to it. So before we start, I just want to say a quick disclaimer. Well, there's a few different disclaimers and caveats that I want to say. If you're familiar with me, you might be thinking, how comes Jade is referring to herself as a content creator? Because sometimes she refers to herself as an entrepreneur and other times I refer to myself as a business owner. I refer to myself as all three of those things. That's what I think I am. And I think a lot of modern day content creators, that's what they are as well. At least that's what I'm trying to help more people become, all-round business owners, entrepreneurs, as well as content creators. Every single thing that I've achieved in this business to date has stemmed from me being a content creator and has stemmed from me creating this channel and my Instagram channel. So that's why I'm referring to myself as a content creator, and that's why I think everything I'm going to mention in this video is achievable for any other content creator too. Another thing that I want to flag is that I'm aware that a big reason why I was able to achieve these things within the past 12 months is largely because of my experience. I've worked in marketing for 8 years. I have a marketing degree. Marketing and content creation pretty much go hand in hand. I've also hired loads of influencers for other businesses that I've owned in the past, for huge international brands when I've been working at agencies and stuff like that. And let's just say I have been immersed in this world for a while, regardless of what side of the camera I've been on. And I also had a influencing account, which I created back in 2019 or 2020, which I built and started working with brands with as well. So do not get me wrong. I don't want to ignore the fact that I have come from a background where I've been completely used to this whole world. However, I have built a platform which is completely centered on me sharing that knowledge. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, I can't achieve this because I don't know that stuff, you can, because I'm literally teaching you the stuff. I'm helping you, I'm sharing this knowledge. And if you're someone who is super serious about their career in content creation and you really want to learn how to achieve similar things and more, then I hugely recommend that you check out my masterclass called the Influencer Accelerator. There is a link in my description. It is going to be jam-packed with so much value. It's going to be sharing so much more information than I've ever managed to share on my YouTube content before. It's completely free, so I recommend registering for that now. Okay, so how I'm going to structure this is I'm going to basically go in 3-month increments, starting from November last year, which is when I launched my channel. I'm just going to get my tea first. Hold on. I feel like it's going to be a real juicy video when I've got a cup of tea with me. Because I'm settled, I'm getting comfortable because it's going to be one of those kind of videos. Okay, so let's start from the month of November 2020 all the way through to January 2021. So I launched my very first video on November the 15th, 2020. It was one of the scariest days of my life, and if you've ever tried to start a YouTube channel, I'm sure you can relate to that feeling, right? But I made the decision before I even launched that video that I was going to go all in. If I was going to do this as a potential career path, and if I was going to do this and really try and make it work, I am not going to half-arse it. I'm going to go all in. I dedicated myself to uploading at least one video every single week for a minimum of 1 year, regardless of whether or not I was seeing growth. And I told myself that I was going to promote it. So I didn't do that thing where you launch your video and you don't tell anyone, which I know so many people do. I've had businesses in the past where I didn't tell anyone that I had those businesses because of a similar mindset of being what if they fail? At least this way I don't have to explain why they failed and why I've closed them down. Or another mindset that you might relate to is that you're just embarrassed and you're scared of starting from a place of imperfection and starting from a place where you're not creating the best content that you could possibly create yet. Because let's be real, when you start, the videos you create will not be amazing. Well, for the most part. I actually have a client who I helped start her YouTube channel, and her videos actually are incredible, like her first videos. But for most of us, your first videos are not going to be good. They're not going to be your best content. And I know that that's completely the case for me as well. But the point is that you have to start, because that is the only way that you really get better. So in November, I launched my YouTube channel, and then I also launched my Instagram channel to go alongside it, right? In terms of the content I was sharing, it was slightly different to what I'm sharing now. When I first started, it was very much only about side hustles, and I've moved away from that now. Depending on when you watch this, you may or may not know that my brand was previously called We Side Hustle, and now I'm currently transitioning to becoming a personal brand called Jade Beeson. So at the time, my content was pretty much only about side hustles. I was working full time. I had 2 boutiques at the time. I then had this channel. I also had another influencing Instagram page, which I counted as my side hustle because it also made me money. And I was doing a lot of stuff. Arguably far too much, but I was doing a lot of stuff, and that was what I wanted to make my YouTube content about, basically about how other people can start side hustles and manage their full-time job alongside it. So because that was my initial niche, the content I was creating kind of fell into a few different sub-niches. I created content which was about boutiques because I own boutiques. I created content which was about influencing because I had an influencing account. I created content about marketing because I was a marketer. Like, I just kind of tapped into any zone of genius, or what people always say, zone of genius, and I hate saying it because I feel like I'm stealing someone else's phrase, but I was just basically tapping into my passion points and my interests, right? And I was just talking about that. And for anyone out there who's just starting and they cannot pick on one specific niche, so maybe you have a few different niches which are related to each other, but they're not completely centered on one audience yet, don't be afraid to trial those few different niches and just see what takes, because that ended up being what happened to me. And it was within the next month when I really started to kind of niche down and get really clear about the kind of content that I was going to be creating. So basically through those months of November to January, I spent time learning, getting better. I edited all the videos myself at that time. I had no editing experience. I was just playing and just trying to figure out how to do it. So it was a lot of practicing and just trying to get good at the content that I was creating, and really just trying to make a start at building a community. In terms of the growth, it was a bit slow. In terms of my Instagram, I had around 500 followers by that point, but a lot of that was kind of friends and family. And in terms of my YouTube, I had 252 subscribers by the end of January. So I managed to gain about 500 followers on Instagram in 3 months and 252 subscribers in my first 3 months of my content creation journey. So it wasn't the quickest start in the world, but I was putting in so much effort, and I wasn't letting the slow growth stop me from trying. And what that ends up doing is, as you'll see when I go through the rest of the months, it creates a bit of a compounding interest effect, because you're putting so much time and effort at the beginning, and when it starts to pay off, it pays off in such a big way, right? Tea break. So, February to April. So by this point, I had a better idea of which of my content was performing the best. And I noticed that any content I was creating about influencing or content creation, about social media marketing, that type of content was doing really, really well for me. So it was during those months when I decided to focus on influencing / content creation, entrepreneurship, and social media marketing. That was what I was going to focus on, and that's still what I focus on very much now. It was also during these months when I really started to approach my content creation from a business mindset. So I released my first ebook during these months, and my first ebook is called the Influencer Hustle Kit. I'll put a link below if I'm still selling it at the time of you watching this, because I'm still in 2 minds as to whether or not I'm going to keep it. Not because it didn't do well. It makes me about £1,000 a month, which is great. It's almost completely passive, but longer story, I just don't know how it sits within my whole business now. But that was what I created around that time, and that's what I launched. Now, do not get me wrong, it was not making me £1,000 a month when I launched it back in February. It was making me a couple £100 a month if I was lucky, but it was still an example of how I was creating products which were gonna grow with me and help me earn more money in the long term. So I started to see my content creation as a business. It was also during this month when I started building my email list. And if you would like some tips on how you can get started building an email list, I'll link a video up here because it shares far more information. But it was also during those months when I was like, right, okay, I know that I need an email list. For anyone who doesn't know, it's basically just a list of emails from people who want to hear from you on a regular basis. So I use a platform called ConvertKit, which I swear by. I'll put a link in my description. But I basically use ConvertKit to send regular emails to, I've got about 4,000 people on my email list at the moment. So I send them regular emails every single week. And if I've got a new product launching, those are the people who I email, right? So I started building an email list around that time. During these months, I also landed my first client. You can tell tell that these were pretty big months for me actually. I landed my first client. She reached out to me via Instagram, just sent me a direct message and was like, I'm trying to become an influencer, can you help me? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I had my first client, which meant that I basically opened a new revenue stream, which opened my eyes to new things that I could be doing. And I will say that if you're watching this, you might be like, you know what? This isn't relevant to me because I don't have an expertise that I can package into an ebook or that I can coach to someone. I'm here to tell you that I disagree. I honestly believe that everyone has an expertise that they can package up and sell to someone. For example, just think about what you studied when you're at school, when you're at uni, think about what you've worked in for the past few years. Think about all that stuff and really ask yourself, is there some stuff that I've learned that I can share to others that other people would want to know about? We fall into this habit as humans, I feel, of kind of undervaluing what we know. If you ever had a conversation with someone like one of your friends who is in a completely different industry to you or studied a completely different subject, and you try to talk about what you do and they're just like, I have no idea, like I don't get it, I'm not following, right? That is a prime example of you having so much information that you don't even realize other people don't have. You know, like there is so much information that you possess that other people would love to learn about, and a lot of the time we sleep on that and don't even realize how valuable that information is. So here's an example, right? Say you're someone who can take a really great photo, and I'm not even saying like a photographer level, I'm saying say you're someone who takes all your photos on your iPhone but you make them look amazing, and you manage to achieve that because you're great at editing using platforms like Adobe Lightroom. That is a skill, and a lot of time that person, this hypothetical person, will tell themselves, well, I'm not a photographer, or I don't use a DSLR camera, therefore I don't have any right to teach people anything. That's not true. There's a whole audience of people out there. I'm even one of those people. I think I would buy into this. There's a whole audience of people out there who want to know how to take better photos with their phone and edit those photos using an app like Lightroom. They don't want to use a DSLR camera. They want to be taking photos on their phone. And therefore you have these skills that you can actually teach to someone, whether it's an ebook, whether it's through coaching, anything like that. So I could talk about this for ages and I don't want to go into a bit of a tangent, but my basic point is that we all have some skills that we can sell. So please don't listen to this and tell yourself you can't achieve the same things because you don't have a special skill, because you do. During these months, I also landed my first paid sponsorship for this brand. I had under 2,000 subscribers and I landed the sponsorship because I just went out there and I pitched to someone. I saw that they had a service that I liked, that my followers would like. So I pitched to them, I negotiated a 3 series deal and I made a decent chunk of money for it. I can't tell you exactly how much it was because of contractual issues, but it was in the thousands. And that is considering that I had under 2,000 subscribers and I managed to earn that much from my first sponsorship. So as I mentioned previously, if you want to know more about all that kind of stuff, sign up to my masterclass. I'm going to be sharing all of the tips. During this time, I'm still on February to April, I also got monetized. So I got monetized on April the 22nd, I believe, or the 24th, I can't remember, but I got monetized the end of April because that was the month where I really started to see a lot of growth on my YouTube channel, mostly due to one video, which I'll link to up here, which managed to, I think it's on a couple 100,000 views now, but it was absolutely skyrocketing and I managed to get monetized off the back of it. So another huge thing that I managed to achieve during those few months, all while still working full time, which meant that, as you can imagine, by the end of this month, my stats were a bit higher. So on Instagram, I had around 2,400 followers, and on YouTube, I had 4,105 subscribers, which was wild. But more than any of that, more than those numbers, what was the most important thing and the most valuable thing to me is that I had built a really engaged audience. Like I hadn't done any shortcuts and tried to just gain loads of followers doing dodgy tactics and stuff like that. I took it slow and I literally just focused on building an audience of people who were engaged with me. And that is a huge reason why I was able to build this business to the point that I have done so far. That because I've taken my time a bit in terms of me building a following, well, I guess I haven't really taken that long, it's only been a year. But I mean, in terms of me not taking any shortcuts and me really focusing on the quality of my audience, it's meant that I've managed to build a business which is making just as much money as someone who probably has way more followers and subscribers than I do, because my followers and subscribers are just really valuable and high quality and just really engaged. So thanks if you're one of them and you're watching it, I appreciate you. So in terms of money, because I realized I've not spoken about that yet, the first period of time that I was talking about, so November to Jan, I didn't make any money from the business. Like I wasn't monetized, I didn't have any products, like there was no money coming in, right? I was completely working for free. However, in terms of February to April, I did start to make some money because I did get monetized, but then also I did release my ebook. But we're still talking in the realms of about 200 to 500 pounds a month during those 4 months, even counting the fact that I got monetized towards the end of April. So up until this point, I had made probably just under £1,000, and I was incredibly happy with that because it was still so early in my content creation journey. So I was like, that's great. Like I'm absolutely pleased with whatever money I was earning. May to July, so a few more transformative months coming up here. During these months, I really stepped it up a notch when it came to my content creation. By this point, I knew what my audience wanted, right? Because I now had videos which were starting to do well. So I got really, really good at reading my analytics and just really figuring out, okay, what do people want to see? What do they want to hear about? I stepped it up, I made better quality content, and I also started posting more. So I was trying to post twice a week. I didn't always meet that, but most times I was posting twice a week, which meant that on average, I was racking up like between 6 to 8 videos a month. So I was massively stepping up the pace a bit, and it was reflected in my growth. Like I was seeing a trajectory where my channel was growing, both channels were growing, and that was enabling me to create a more sustainable business. During this time, I changed my product suite a bit. I added more products, so that's when I started doing bespoke audits for people. I'll put a link below if you're interested in purchasing one. But that was when I first started doing audits. I started working with a lot more clients. I started working with clients on their YouTube channels as well as on their Instagram channels. And if you're wondering how I came up with these ideas and these products, I very much listened to my audience. So I was getting direct messages from people who were asking me for help in specific areas, and I used that information to create new products that could help them. So by doing it this way, I knew that anything I was going to spend time creating, I knew there was an audience for it already because people were asking for it, right? So I very much listened to my audience in order to inform my product suite. It was during these months that I was once again looking at the future, and you'll notice that that is a pattern for all of these months, and it's something that I recommend that you always do. Always be thinking about what you want your business to look like in 1 to 5 years time, right? I was consistently thinking about that throughout this entire journey. Even in the beginning when I had no following and I was making no money, I was still thinking, okay, what do I want to be doing with this business in the future? What products do I want to release? So it was during this time when I started planning my signature Instagram marketing course, which is called Next Level IG Academy, specifically for business owners. So it was during this time that I started planning that course, mapping out the content, and really started working on bringing all of that information together. Now, I also started to be a bit more savvy with things like affiliate marketing during this time. So I made sure that I had the correct affiliate links for any products that I was talking about in any of my content. And I was sure to always link to those affiliate links throughout all of my YouTube content and my Instagram content and stuff like that. Those of you who don't know what affiliate links are or affiliate marketing, it's basically when you promote another product that you hopefully already use, and if someone purchases that product using your bespoke link, you get a percentage of that sale price. So I started to get a lot more savvy with my affiliate links. I worked with loads more brands, which was really fun, and of course I was now monetized, so I was making money from that, which meant that on average I was earning between £3,000 to £4,000 each month during that time, which meant that at the end of that 3-month period, I'd earned around £12,000 from my business. And I was working full time at this point. And another really key thing that happened during this time is that I quit my job. I quit my job in like June time. I didn't leave until September because I have a 2-month notice period. And yeah, I quit my job. If you want to know more about how I came to the decision that that was the right time to quit my job, I'll link to a video up here, because there was a lot of things I had to do to basically ensure that I was in a correct position to quit. Because as you would have heard from this journey, I was only 6 months in? I think I was maybe 8 months into this business at the point. So it was a pretty big deal to quit my job for the business, but it worked out, as you'll start to see as we continue with this process. In terms of my subscriber count and follower count, my Instagram had around 4,000 followers and my YouTube had 24,000 subscribers. So I had gained around 20,000 subscribers during those couple of months. So it was a big month for my channel, but again, it was because I was stepping up my game, I was posting more, and I got really clear about what my audience wanted to watch. Okay, so August to October. Things were getting serious now, August to October. This was no longer just this hobby that I was doing. This was now my livelihood. This was now my business. And it was a nerve-wracking time, but also probably the most exciting time of my life. I don't know if that's sad, but it was so exciting. Like, I left my job mid-August, and as sad as it was to leave, because I did really love the agency, the advertising agency that I was at, it was the best decision that I have ever made in terms of my career. I immediately saw the effects of me having all of my time focused on this business. I immediately saw the effects in my revenue, which I'll come on to it in a bit. But it was just like a really exciting time. I had to make some big decisions during that time, and I think that's where the nerve-wracking bit comes in. So let's talk about what happened during those few months. So my focus for these few months was very much scaling and setting my business up for the following year, right? So by this point, my channel was growing. I knew that I was onto something. I knew that I had value to share. And I also now had the time to actually create the products that my audience wanted. So I really focused on that, right? And that involved me doing a few different things. One thing that I did was I created a new freebie for my email list. Freebies are also referred to as like lead magnets sometimes. And what they basically are is something that is free and has loads of value that you offer to your audience. They could download from you for free, and in exchange, you get access to their email address, right? So it means that you can send them regular email communications every week, just sharing tips and tricks. But it also means that when it comes to the time where you're ready to offer or sell them something, you now have a way to kind of communicate to them and hopefully land a sale. So because I knew that I was going to be releasing new products before the end of the year, I knew that I needed to work on my email list. Now, I know that I said that I started building my email list back in like February time, which I did, but the quality of the emails that I had acquired wasn't very high. My open rate wasn't great. That's basically the rate at which people open your emails. Mine was at like 20%. And I was like, I want it to be more around the 30-40% mark. And I just didn't feel like the people who I had acquired were actually people who were really serious about their content creation journey or were really serious about their business growth and anything like that. So I therefore thought, I'm going to clear through my email list. I removed about 1,500, maybe even more emails based on how frequently they opened my emails. So if they didn't open them, I just removed them. I recommend everyone doing that, by the way, if you do have an email list. And if you don't have one, then get one. And I cleared them through, I created a new freebie, and I started to get new leads that way. And now I'm back up to about 4,000, which is what I was roughly at before, but they're all super high quality and my open rate is like 40%. So I'm really, really pleased with the email addresses that I have now. I also updated my content strategy on my YouTube channel. I went from purely creating content, which was going to get me in front of people and get me awareness, to mixing my content between content what was going to get me awareness and content what was going to help me build my community. So this is actually a good example of one of those videos, because I don't necessarily think that this is going to be a video which gets me loads of views, but I do feel like majority of the people who are going to watch this video are people who are already in my community. So this is a video that I'm specifically creating for people like that, because I want to nurture that relationship. I want to provide more facts and figures of behind the scenes and just more information to help them on their journey. And I had reached a point where I no longer had to just focus on growth. My aim isn't ever to actually have hundreds of thousands of subscribers. My aim has always been to have a really high quality audience, regardless of the size. So once I got to like 25,000-ish, I kind of realized like I don't really need to consistently grow at this rate anymore. I just want to make sure that the people I have on my platform are really engaged with me. So that's why I started to change my strategy and change more content like this, where I'm just kind of sharing behind the scenes and sharing more information on my business. So it was during this time when I also hired 2 VAs who I worked with for a bit, and then I realized that actually what I needed help with wasn't the stuff that I had recruited them for. So I ended up kind of terminating that relationship. Seems like a really harsh way of saying it, but leaving that relationship behind, even though they were great. And I found someone else who I was working with, who I still work with now, who helps me out on doing a bunch of different stuff. She helps me create graphics for my socials. She helps me with my newsletters and my email list. She's going to help me with things like my LinkedIn and my Pinterest and stuff like that. She's great. And then I also had my video editor, who is my lifesaver. Like, oh my God, don't know what I would do if I didn't have them in my team, who edits all of my YouTube videos now, but who also edits any other content for my other products, right? So I made that change and I started to really invest in my business. Another thing that I did during this time was I released my signature marketing course. So you'll remember that I mentioned that I was working on this from beforehand. Well, it was in October when I actually launched the course, and it done really well. I had a 10 grand launch, which I was really happy with, especially because I had focused on only launching to my existing audience. Whereas in the future, when I relaunch, I'm going to be doing bigger launches to a wider audience. So I was really happy with how that performed. And that was actually part of the reason why I was able to earn $15,000 plus during the month of October, which was the last month, because this is November, because I launched that course and it was a really successful launch, right? So in terms of how my accounts were doing and stuff like that, my Instagram page had around 9,000 followers by that point, and my YouTube had around 36,000 subscribers. The biggest things to note there is that we achieved some wild things in regards to my channels during that time. So in the month of October, I hit 1 million views on my YouTube channel, and I also hit 100,000 watch hours. When I say that out loud, I literally can't get my head around that, because the pain it took to get the 4,000 to get monetized to then suddenly hit 100,000 is a bit wild. Also, the idea of like people watching my content for 100,000 hours really like literally blows my mind. Like, I can't get over it. But anyway, that's what I hit in October. So you can see that even though I'd switched up my strategy a bit, I was still very much growing, which was great. But also I feel like the change in my content strategy was reflected in my overall business doing better, because now I was creating content which was allowing me to bond with my audience a bit more, which if people were in the market to hire a coach or buy a new course, it makes them a lot more likely to do so through me because I had bonded with them through this type of content, if that makes sense. So that brings us to the month of November, which is exactly 1 year since I began this content creator journey. At the time of filming, it's currently the 8th of November. I have around 38,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, and I have just under 10,000 followers on my Instagram account. And in terms of what I'm focusing on now and what the future of this brand looks like, I'm very much focusing on transitioning from a one-to-one business model where I was doing a lot of one-to-one coaching to a one-to-many business model where I have programs where I can help people at scale, right? So just to give you a sneak peek as to what that's going to look like, I do of course have my signature Instagram marketing course, Next Level IG Academy, which is specifically for business owners who are looking to make more money online using Instagram. So that's there, that already exists, and that will be relaunching in 2022. Now, for all you content creators out there, I'm actually launching something new, and I'm going to tell you what it is, even though I've not exposed it on I've literally not mentioned it to anyone yet, but I'm going to tell you what it is, because if you're still watching, then you're a real OG because you've watched this whole video. So you get the sneak peek. I am releasing my first membership club, which is specifically for content creators. It is called the Creators Club, TCC, and it will be launching on the 22nd of November. So if you have registered for my masterclass, where I'm going to be sharing so much knowledge about how to become a full-time content creator, then please hang around to the end of that masterclass, because I'll be sharing so much information on what the Creators Club will involve. But just to sum up, it's going to be this incredible community where we're all going to help each other grow, make money, land brand partnerships. But I'm also going to be doing things like offering free training, challenges, resources, pitching templates, masterclasses, so much wealth of knowledge that I'm going to be sharing exclusively to all members of the Creators Club. So that is coming. Be sure to join the masterclass. If you do, you'll actually get an exclusive offer where you can join the Creators Club at a reduced price forever. So like, you will always pay for it at a cheaper cost than anyone else. So that's coming, and that is a sneak peek into what the future of my business is going to look like. So that is it. That is the past year of my brand and what I've managed to achieve and create, and the different ways that I looked and approached both my content creation but my business as a whole throughout the span of those 12 months. I'm hoping that by giving you an overview, obviously that was super top line, there was so much other stuff that went into this past 12 months, it has been manic, but I'm hoping that by giving you an overview of the different things that I created and the different ways that I approached my business during those 12 months will really get you thinking about how you can start to approach your content creation career so that you can build a sustainable business and hopefully go at it full time as well. I really hope you found that useful. I'm not even going to link to another video for this one because there were so many other videos that I linked to throughout the entire video. So I'm going to put those in the description below as well so you can give those a watch. But yeah, don't forget to sign up to my free masterclass. I really hope I get to see you there. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video.